The 17th Amendment was adopted in 1913 to allow for the direct election of each state's 2 senators. The Constitution as drafted called for them to be chosen by the legislature of the individual states. There are those who call for the repeal of the 17th Amendment, arguing to do so would reinstate the founders' intent to have the states have direct influence with the Congress and reinvigorate federalism. What is your opinion of the 17th Amendment and the efforts to repeal it? And we'll start with John Gay.
I am for repealing the 17th Amendment. Like you said, the 17th Amendment establishes that the senators are elected by the people. Now, why would they want that? Why would they want to have an election? Because they see that the representatives are getting kickbacks and bribes from the special interest. And they didn't have an election. They were appointed by the state to represent the state's interest. So now it's kind of confusing because we have 2 representatives. One's called a senator and one's called a representative. But I want to be your representative elected by you, and we need 2 senators that represent the state's interest. That way, because right now we have 2 representatives and we have nobody representing the interests of the states. The Constitution balanced that power, it separated that power, and now it's been diluted by the 17th Amendment. So I would call for the repeal of the 17th Amendment. I believe you'll find that on some of my literature. Thank you.
Randy Weber.
Is there anybody else in this room that has served in the Texas legislature? Larry, did you leave?
I'm here.
Okay, good. I said that in my role as a legislator and as an internal communication director, you get to know a lot of these guys. I'm not sure that I want this taken out of the hands of the people and put in 150 individuals. Last session we had 101 Republicans, and you got to love that. We defunded Planned Parenthood $64 million. Session before that we had 76 Republicans and 74 Democrats. Things are going to change. There's a lot of pressure on those guys. If you're not a man of integrity, if you're not there for the right reasons, then bad choices can be made. I'm almost thinking, without much delving into it, that I trust the people of Texas to do the right things more than 150 reps and 31 senators. Stay tuned.
Michael Truncale.
I am satisfied that we allow the people of Texas to elect their senators. And I do believe that there is a difference between members who serve in the Senate and those who are congressmen. The congressmen do reflect the local interest, and our senators reflect and represent the state interest. And that is good, and that is as it should be. However, I'm not willing to take that power away from the people. And I think that there are other things that are more important for us to talk about, like returning our America to prosperity, to saving us from the path to what is essentially becoming a socialist state. I believe that the promise of America is that everyone is entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not life, liberty, and the redistribution of wealth. These are the issues we need to be focused on, not changing our Constitution in this regard. However, we're going to change the Constitution. I stand with others, elected members of the Senate and Congress, in demanding a balanced budget amendment to the United States Constitution. Thank you. I'm Michael Truncale.
Felicia Harris.
Thank you. Anyone elected to office ought to be elected by the people, in my view. The Declaration of Independence says very clearly that we are all entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The very next sentence says what happens after that. Those rights are entrusted to you to make sure your governing bodies follow your direction, the direction of the people, the direction of us. Now, as a Pearland City Council member for 2 terms, I've been following the direction of my neighbors, quite frankly. When I go to the grocery store or I go to the dry cleaner, I'm held directly accountable to the people that I represent. I would do that as a congresswoman for this district as well. I don't plan to live in D.C. I spend as much time in the district as possible, and I believe it's we the people that drive this country, not we the government. And that's exactly why we absolutely, 100% have to get rid of President Barack Hussein Obama, because he's driving this country into the ground. And we absolutely 100% have to stand together to make sure that we the people and our voices are heard every single day. Thank you.
Tim Day.
Well, 17th Amendment was put there to ensure there wouldn't be another civil war or anything where the states rebelled against the federal government, because states would have more what they call more. Somebody help me out. More, well, the state will have more influence over the federal government by them sending their own people there. That's what helped the rebellion of the Civil War, why the states left the Union the first time. Hopefully that never happens again. Me, I'm not about touching no Constitution at all. A balanced budget amendment, only thing that does is create a number of how much people going to take from. That's it. That's all they do. People have to be involved in holding Congress and senators accountable. That's what needs to happen. That's it. Because the only thing what happens is more and more people go away from not being involved.
Jay Old.
You ever tinker with something and only make it worse? I mean, you know, truthfully, my wife will tell you I'm not the handiest guy in the house, and I say that's because that's why I went to law school, so I could pay somebody to fix those things for me. Well, I'm not into tinkering with our Constitution. I don't think that is going to fix anything. Okay? The 17th Amendment is our law, and it's a good law because it does allow the people to vote for our senators. The problem I think people have with the way the amendment now works is, in a state like Texas, our congressmen and women must raise $1 million a month from the day they get elected so that they can run for their next election. It is atrocious how much money is required to remain a senator. The real issue that I think you need there is election reform and campaign finance reform, the real kind that actually fixes that problem. And I don't think doing away with the 17th Amendment does that. That's my answer. Thank you very much.
Bill Sargent.
I think there are more important things to deal with, such as dealing with the anchor baby issue, a balanced budget amendment. But let me give you a little history. I saw how the way it worked before the 17th Amendment actually worked. My great-grandfather was a senator to the United States Senate. He, by the way, introduced the first resolution that had give women the right to vote. He never saw it happen, but it did happen. But he served for one term. And then there was a governor by the name of Stanford. And he decided that he wanted to have a term in the Senate. So he went around, and what did he do? He worked and lobbied people who were in the state house, and he worked around it, and he got it so that Mr. Sargent was no longer the senator, but Governor Stanford was. Okay, that's how it worked back then. I think it's much better to have people who vote elect a senator to represent them, and that's what I would propose.
Robert Gonzalez.
I'm glad I'm last. I'll tell you why. I have a 28th Amendment, and that is term limits. My 29th Amendment is to repeal the 17th Amendment. The reason we have a 17th Amendment is because they tinkered with it, and they undid what the Founding Fathers had to begin with. As a constitutional conservative, I believe that we have to have hands-on. We can't have a popular vote on both Congress and Senate. When have you seen your senators? When's the last time you saw K.B. Hutchinson or John Cornyn? I'm telling you, if you give the power back to the states and you let our representatives here in the state, where we can drive 2.5 hours and put our hands on John Davis or Larry Taylor or Mr. Randy Weber, you can put your hands on them and say, hey, we have to get power back. Let's put the power back in the states and let these representatives, which you elected, to put these guys in there and say, if you're not doing the bit of the state, you're coming back. We'll recall you. The 17th Amendment was passed in 1913, and it needs to be repealed. That's my 29th Amendment. Repeal the 17th Amendment.